ready for it. The first thing we have to talk about on the show is what's going on with Diddy. Now, many of you thought, oh, the next thing we were going to hear about Diddy is either he's going to have his sentence commuted, he's going to be pardoned, which hadn't happened, or, we're going to hear about Diddy getting out of prison, right? Well, we have something new. Diddy is actually catching a break in one of his lawsuits that was put against him. All right. And we're going to get into the details here and talk about, and I want to know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. Diddy stays winning out here, even though he's sitting behind bars. Every little one's count because he has a lot of lawsuits he has to face. So check this out. A bombshell ruling, a Diddy assault case has been dismissed without prejudice, by the way. A federal judge threw out Shantae Kelly's suit under New York City's gender violence law, saying her story was too vague and may have taken place outside of New York City. All right, so it seems like there's just some small errors in here that may have caused this to get dismissed. A federal judge has dismissed a civil lawsuit accusing Diddy of drugging and assaulting an independent artist named Shantae Kelly, but left the door open for her to refile her case if she can fix the errors in question. In a 22-page opinion, Judge Valerie Caproni, hopefully I said that right, ruled that Shantae Kelly's lawsuit failed to allege sufficient facts to connect Combs or his affiliated companies to the alleged lawsuit. And this isn't the first time we've seen this, all right? I mean, you can call it just a bad writing of the lawsuit. You can call it maybe the facts aren't adding up. You could call it what we say here, innocent until proven guilty, even though it's Diddy. Y'all don't like to believe that, but we have to know that he's not guilty of everything that everybody says about him. Or maybe he is. Either way, the complaint filed under New York City's Victim of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act claimed that Kelly was assaulted after being invited to a party hosted by Combs. Judge Caproni granted the defendant's motion to dismiss, but said Kelly could amend and refile her complaint by November 21st of this year, which isn't a lot of time, if she can correct the deficiencies. And we'll get into the document here shortly. According to other court documents, Caproni found that Kelly's filing did not clearly establish where the assault or the alleged assault occurred, an element for jurisdiction under the law. You got to have it in New York. Kelly described a large white elephant house with a curved driveway. Sounds familiar. Maybe something that was mentioned in Jay-Z's lawsuit with Jane Doe in Manhattan, but Combs' attorney argued no such residence exists in the city, and that the description better matches Combs' East Hampton property, which lies outside the court's jurisdiction, which would mean that this gender-motivated law would not apply. The judge also criticized Kelly's legal team for admitting the uncertainty about the location, which would seem to be the main part that you would need. But nothing that the attorneys are required under Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure to verify these types of claims before filing. And it says a lawyer may not plead facts that might be true, but for which the lawyer has no evidentiary support, Caproni wrote in the opinion brief, which is interesting because we've seen several lawsuits we've covered here that have had literally no evidentiary support. I mean, look at Jane Doe versus Jay-Z, right? We talked about that lawsuit here. We went through it, we reviewed it, and we went piece by piece. And the minute we read this lawsuit, many of us, myself included, said, this lawsuit doesn't make any sense. How did this girl get here? Who brought her there? Why was she there? Was she at the right location? Does this house even exist? And we saw key factors of that lawsuit that didn't make sense. Now we're seeing it again here. It seems like with these civil lawsuits, you really don't have to have much evidentiary support other than maybe a witness or two, which I guess is what we have here. Caproni also rejected Kelly's request to begin discovery to determine where the alleged assault took place, stating that discovery is not a fishing expedition to find out whether a viable claim exists. Shout out to this judge. The dismissal was issued without prejudice, meaning that Kelly can refile if she provides factual evidence showing that the alleged assault occurred within New York City and that Combs' business entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Global, were directly involved. It might be tough for her. The decision marks a much needed legal victory for Combs. Attorneys for both sides have not commented on the ruling. All right, so let's look at what the judge actually said here in this motion posted by the Diddy docket. Shout out to them. We're not going to read the full thing, just a couple of key parts on what the judge had to say. All right, we've got Shantae Kelly versus Diddy Combs and pretty much all of Diddy's property. And the Diddy docket says, in the matter of Kelly versus Combs, the motion to dismiss is granted with leave to amend by November 21st. We just talked about that, and establish the alleged incident occurred in New York City. They bet not lie either. Valerie Caproni says, the plaintiff Shantae Kelly alleges that the defendant Sean Combs drugged and assaulted her at a party in New York City. She brought a claim pursuant to New York City's Victim of Gender Motivated Violence and Protection Act, and she says against Combs and various businesses that he owns. Defendant moved to dismiss. All right, and they have the dismissal here. The judge says that motion is granted. Diddy taking a win. I know this is going to hurt some folks' feelings. Sorry, guys, but if there's no there, you can't just file a lawsuit, a frivolous lawsuit. The plaintiff further argues that discovery is required to help ascertain the location of Combs' assault on the plaintiff. That makes no sense. If you were assaulted, where were you assaulted at? Just say that and then give some evidence to show it, right? That would be contrary to the purpose of discovery, which is to find additional facts about a well-pleaded claim, not to find whether such a claim exists. Although discovery may be used to test the veracity of the allegations made upon information and belief, plaintiff did not qualify her allegations with such language. And then the judge quotes a case there. Even if she had, those magic words will only make otherwise unsupported claims plausible when the facts are peculiarly within the possession and control of the defendant, or where the belief is based on factual information that makes the inference of culpability plausible. Basically meaning, if you say in here that something happened, you should be able to say upon information and belief, or I have the ability to show this. If not, then get that BS out of there. That's basically what we're saying here. The location of an event that the plaintiff herself attended is neither a piece of information peculiarly within the defendant's possession, nor an inference that can be drawn from known facts. Rather, it is an objective statement that the plaintiff's attorneys could have attempted to corroborate in any number of ways before filing a suit. One of the reasons Jane Doe was able to bring the lawsuit against Diddy, although she may have gotten the time and date wrong, she did say there was an event I went to. It was the MTV Awards. This is where it happened. Then I went to this house in this place that's located here, and that's where the assault took place. We don't have that in this lawsuit. As it stands, counsel appears entirely unsure whether the allegations in the amended complaint about the location of the party are accurate. So what do y'all think about this? Let me know in the comments in the chat. Is Diddy going to see more wins after his trial has taken place and he's been found guilty on those 2 counts of the Mann Act? Or are we going to see more of these lawsuits come out down the road? It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Diddy, what the judge says here, and I want to read the conclusion before we get out of here. In sum, the amended complaint lacks any allegations from which the court can infer that the corporate defendants engaged in any misconduct. Additionally, the plaintiff's opposition raises serious doubts about the reasonableness of counsel's inquiry into whether the events alleged in the amended complaint occurred in New York City, a fact necessary to state a claim pursuant to the Gender Motivated Protection Act, right? It has to have occurred in New York City. Defendant's motion to dismiss is granted. The clerk of this court is respectfully directed to terminate the open motion, and then they have the docket number there. It is possible that the plaintiff may, upon further investigation, be able to allege additional facts to allow the court plausibly to infer that the corporate defendant are liable to pursuant to the Gender Motivated Protection Act, or the events alleged in the amended complaint occurred in New York City. The court therefore grants the plaintiff leave to file a second amended complaint. Any such amended complaint must be filed no later than November 21st. All right, let me know what y'all think. Should they refile this or should they let it go? Let's see what